All right, guys, we're live here tonight. I got a special guest, as you guys can tell. We got Tony from Random Adventures 2.0 here tonight,
Yeah,
and
there you go. Well,
everybody say hi to Tony.
hi everyone. I see there Ozark Great Adventure saying, "Here we go." That's one of my my sayings, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a anticipation for everybody today. I know we've been all excited, and everybody knows who Tony is. I'm sure. Want you to, I guess, introduce yourself and explain to those that may not know who you are and what you do. And I've got a link to your channel on this live, so if anybody
Okay.
doesn't know, can go check you out. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So, should I start with when I started my channel?
yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that some of the questions I had for you was,
Okay.
I know where some of your past videos and lives I've watched who your inspirations were, and but I know a little bit, but I know some
Okay.
of our viewers may not. So yeah, that's a good start.
All right. So I started my channel in March 21st of 2021, and then it was mainly hiking. And what gave some of the inspiration for starting a channel is a couple years before that, my wife and I had gone to Arizona and went for a hike, and just loved it. It was a Peralta Trail, and we came home, and then I wanted to do a little bit of research on, and she goes, well, this was maybe a year and a half later. And she goes, well, why don't you look it up on YouTube? I said, what's YouTube? she, and she said, it's that little thing, YouTube. Yeah, you can download it on your phone. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And so I did. I downloaded it and then I researched Peralta Trail, Arizona, things like that. And a guy popped up who was going to be hiking the Arizona Trail. I said, "Oh, notify me when he starts that." And so I watched him do the whole Arizona Trail. I've always enjoyed photography and that side of it. So I loved taking pictures and things, but never really videoed anything. And I was just blown away by the 800 miles that he hiked, but also to see the terrain and how he did like different things. So one day, my wife and I were out for a walk, and she goes, you ought to start a YouTube channel on our walks. And I was like, nah. And then it worked on me for a little bit. So I set, I was going to work one day and I put my phone on the dash. I said, "Hey, I'm going to start a YouTube adventure channel." And I looked up and the light turned green and I stepped on the gas, said, "Oh, light's green." And the phone fell off the dash. And that's pretty much where it started. I went and downloaded an app and I film everything. Well, I used to film everything on my phone, but I still edit everything on my phone. So I use Power Director, if anybody's wondering.
Okay.
But I do all the editing on my phone. So what I did to learn that app for about a week is I would sit on my couch and I go pretend like I'm out here in the woods and I'm gonna go over there. And then I would put it on a little tripod and walk towards it and then move the tripod and walk away from it and then go back, get it and move it to the next room and then come in the door and show my feet and go to the kitchen. And I'm like, hey, we're at this spot. Let's go back. And then I would film different things on the way back to the couch. And then I would sit down and edit that and make it a video walking through my house, pretending it was the outdoors. And I did that for about a week. And then Lisa and I were out on a walk, and I'm like, man, I got to do something. So I filmed, we just had a big rain, and I'm filming this water coming out of this pipe, and I'm filming it and things like it's a waterfall. And got back to the house and I said, "Hun, I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee." So my very first video was coffee in the woods, and
Yep.
a lot of those clips of the water that's coming out of a little culvert pipe. it's, but I was having so much fun trying different things, and my the song ended up becoming my theme song. But I watch that video now that song, I filmed my feet way too long, and I played music, that one song throughout the whole video pretty much, but I ended up burning my tongue, and that was the first video. So, but how did I get into stealth camping? So,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I ended up wanted to add camping to my because I was doing gold panning and other things, so like
Mhm,
hiking to overlooks with my wife and things like that. But wanted to add camping, and well, I was watching a lot of Appalachian Trail through hikers and these
mhm.
tents, and I'm like, man, they're $600 for a tent. They're so
Yeah.
expensive, and at the time, there was a right before Christmas, a hammock and underquilt and a tarp came up as part of a like package for
Mhm.
less than $99, and I'm like, oh, ordered it. And it came, and I went out and I set it up for the first time at 501 Shelter on the Appalachian Trail. And then I came back and I'm like, well, if I'm going to camp in the winter, I need to get something to cover me while I'm laying in there. So I got a top quilt when it went on sale, and it's not rated for very cold. And then I was sitting on the couch, and we had a snowstorm coming up the East Coast, and snowstorm Izzy. I don't know if y'all remember it, but that was about
Yeah.
three-ish years ago in February or January. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go camping," and she goes, "But there's this blizzard coming." And I said, "Oh, it'll make a good video." And so she had asked me what the passwords were for the bank accounts and stuff. She thought I was going to die out there, and I did too at one point. But 18 mile an hour winds, gusts and stuff, 30 mile an hour, and I made it through the night. I couldn't come home because it was snowing. But that was my first, and someone reached out to me and said, "Man, and where it was, it's at a town called Centralia. It's in Pennsylvania. A lot of people go there to because it was a town on fire, so it was burning underneath for like
Mhm.
60 years. Government moved everybody out, but the roads and sidewalks and stuff are kind of still there. So I thought that would be my first overnight. And a guy reached out to me, Squib. He was part of a group called Stealth Camping Alliance. And he goes,
Yeah.
"Hey, we got this Facebook group that just started. You know, your camp was a really cool stealth camp." I didn't even know really that's what it it was. And then was like, "Oh, okay, I'll join." And right after that, it wasn't too long ago, I saw everybody talking about camping with Steve Wallace,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
so I started watching some of his stuff and things. But that's kind of my intro into stealth camping. Was doing one that didn't realize that's what it was called too much. You know, in fact, I think I did call it stealth camping, or
Mhm.
I forget what I titled it, but that was my first one. Come a long way since then.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that episode. I remember, your car at the end of the road right there, and it
Oh,
didn't it snow on that episode? That
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was that blizzard
first.
coming up through. And that night when I got out of the woods and went back down and saw the car, I walked around the front of the car, and there was actually tire tracks where they pulled up to the car, and I was,
Yeah.
looking quick to see was my car disturbed and anything like that, and it wasn't. But it was really odd that somebody pulled up right to there. There was before it really started snowing, there was kids playing, I guess, pellet guns and stuff like that in the woods. I heard a guy. I just, yeah, it's a pretty interesting area, if, at the least. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out. Yeah, Ashley was saying Centralia Camps, we was watching that episode, and we really liked it because it was kinda creepy, knowing you're out there, and it was a
That was my
neighborhood.
first ever overnight camp in a hammock. I mean, I
Wow,
went
yeah.
camping as a kid with my dad and stuff when my parents were married, but my stepdad, he never was an outdoors person or anything like that. So I really only camped with my kids later on Very little, but not much at all. We'd go to Lake Raystown and do a big camp like that as well. But not much camping. So my camping experience was really from young. And if you watch through the years,
Hmm.
my hammock camping, I went that route because it was cheap. It was
Yeah.
the cheapest way I could start adding something to my channel. And the stealth camping really just kind of, I did a couple challenges, here and there, but really I was just, once you do one, that's all you look for. You're driving, you're like, oh, I think I could camp there. You start having an eye for it. So I used to
Yeah.
do gold panning before that, but so 1 year anniversary of my YouTube channel, I hit 500 subscribers that morning. And I was like, woohoo! And so that was March of 2022. And I went to work, and that's where I had the major stroke, lost all movement on my right side, and have been recovering ever since. But still, determined not to allow it to affect me. I mean, that night I picked up the phone with my non-dominant hand because this one was a stroke side, and I said, "Hey, hit 500 subscribers and had a stroke." Literally. So come on a new adventure. So my big thing was 50 days into the recovery. I had now come home and was doing home therapy, and my backpack, I put the backpack on it. Didn't have much stuff in it, but I was like, huh, I wonder if I could do this. And so I called my daughter and I said, Rach, come over to the house, pick me up. She goes, why? And I said, well, just come over and pick me up because, well, I'll tell you when you get here, but you might have to help me get my backpack into your car. Dad, what are you doing? And I said, just come over. So she came over, and that video is my first Walmart video. And you can see I'm telling her on the way over there. She goes, what did you tell mom? I said, I didn't yet. She's working. Well, what are you gonna? I said, don't worry about it. I'll call her, but I need you to drop me off. So she dropped me off, and I went into the woods, and I fell a lot, and I didn't film a lot of my falling and stuff like that early on in my recovery. Um, and I ended up at that time. I'm going to back up and stand up so you can see. So I could not lift my. I still have trouble up high like this, but I
Yeah.
could get my arm to about here. Um, so I would put the I was using a lot of paracord at the time, but I'd put paracord for the tarp here, and then I lift my hand up, and then I would go like this with my head, hold my arm there, grab it, and try to go around the tree. Um, and I made it that through that night. I ended up cooking a meal and stuff like that, and I made it out. Broke down the next morning, and I sat at a gas station that's in the it's a Walmart gas station, but I sat at the
Hmm.
light. I walked in there, got a coffee, walked back over, and I was waiting for my ride, and I just started tearing up because I was like, oh my goodness, I did it. I can still do it. And
Yeah.
I remember a guy pulling up, and he goes, you need help, because he saw my backpack there and he thought I was just, hiking through or something like that. I said, no, I said, because my dream as I was starting a YouTube channel, I was talking about it a lot, is because I was doing trail magic and stuff on the Appalachian Trail. I was going to do, and we started doing trail angel stuff as well. But I was going to, attempt to hike the Appalachian Trail prior to the stroke. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but maybe one day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
it's an inspiration though to everybody, and especially me. I mean, after you had your stroke, so many people would give up on their dream, and that's been an inspiration to us. And we've been praying for you through everything, and
well,
it's
thank you. Yeah.
been a blessing to see that you've come a long way from. I was just looking back at some videos here recently that it was like 4 months after your stroke, and I can
Mm.
see a huge difference from then till now.
Yeah, the one that I put out last Thursday was 3 camps, 3 winter
Mhm.
camps. So you had the first one. Oh goodness, that was
That
horrible.
was it was hard
Cold.
on you.
Yeah,
That's when
and
you
then
fell and hurt your wrist, right?
that was on the third one.
Third
The
one.
the
Oh, okay.
oh, second one. I
Second.
fell and hit my wrist. And that was on the stroke side. And then the last one. But if you look at those three videos, it was over the course all post stroke, but you can see the improvement in those winter camps. Cold still affects this hand really bad. So, and my leg walking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like it wants to draw in. And, in fact, the hiker that we watched go on the Arizona Trail, he had messaged me in things when he was hiking the Appalachian Trail then, and it was after my stroke, and he was trying to understand. He says because he was in ice and snow and stuff, and it was so cold he couldn't button a button. He said, "Is that what a stroke feels like?" I said, "Pretty much. Your hands are so cold, you lose strength, mobility, everything." So that's a very good observation. That's pretty much what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, down,
Well,
down, down at just real quick, down at HangCon this year, the one night it got down to 50 or
mhm.
35, and they had bathrooms that you could use in the morning. I actually went up there and I was there for about 10 minutes. Now I didn't need to be there for 10 minutes, about 30 seconds, but I couldn't get my pants snapped again
Oh
or
no.
pushed the button through the thing. And I was trying and trying. I was running my hand under hot water and trying, and I couldn't get it. And finally, I'm just like, oh, no, just put the belt tight and just hopefully it doesn't go. But you still have effects, even when your hands are cold without a stroke. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a funny story. I don't share that with too many people.
Well, welcome back, Ken. Yeah, I guess I'll get right into some of these questions.
Absolutely.
I would like to kind of start off. I know the biggest concern for most people when they want to do stealth camping is the legal considerations. Is it legal to stealth camp? Is it not? And I know that you said in a few of your videos and lives past, I was wanting you to explain more on that about the legal considerations of it.
Yeah. So, don't get caught. No, no. So there is fine lines and stuff like that, and not
Mhm.
every stealth camp is truly a stealth camp. In other words,
Yeah. Hmm.
so like when I camp on just off of a road or a highway or something like that, my definition of stealth camping is you're not really supposed to be camping there. So that is a term. Some would call it, if you just go out into the woods where you're really not supposed to be, um, dispersed camping. But
Yeah.
really, you're still stealth camping. Stealth is some will say, "Oh, that's not stealth camping," and others will say, "Yeah, that's stealth camping," because you're really not supposed to be camping there.
Yeah.
So things to look out for is, don't go on private property.
Yeah.
Um, if it's posted. I went to go do a camp the other day, and an area that wasn't posted was all of a sudden posted, and I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
there goes that spot." And a lot of places. So, I mean, I have done storage sheds and things like that, and
Mhm.
there is a sign on the sheds because they're not part of the business that's there. They're there for people to go look at, and
Mhm.
then they just get a small commission for putting them there. Um, that's a fine line. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, but most of them say come in and look around. They don't
Yeah.
say come in and look around and get out.
It's
Just
or specific
come.
hours of the day.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
it's a balance. It really is a balance, and if you do get busted, that
Yep.
does make for views to go up a little bit. Not that you
Yeah.
try to, but almost
Yeah.
busted, things like that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, um, you don't ever see anybody hardly.
Yep.
So the airport stealth. I did a lot of research on the airport, and then I read the information on there. It says, if you're going to be at the cell phone parking area for more than 4 hours, or in the short-term parking garage for more than 4 hours, you waiting on somebody,
Mhm.
go to the long-term parking garage. So it's right in their literature. So that's when I did the airport on the eighth floor of the parking garage.
Mhm.
Um, Really, I was going to be there 24 hours. So in essence, I could be there. I'm
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yep.
It was $22, I think, for the night, which is a cheap night. And
Yeah.
there are places that allow you to be in their parking areas, like Cracker Barrels, truck stops, and you can turn all those into a stealth camp, a car camp, things
Mhm.
like that. But it's looking for patches of woods, that maybe it's public land. It's got a hiking trail through it, and it goes close to a road. Maybe you set up close to that, But I would say, start out small. Don't go
Mhm.
for a high risk situation on your first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, about being posted no trespassing or whatever. That's a red flag for sure. And like Ken says here, someplace not being seen, whether it's in the woods or behind Walmart. You've done that. I've seen several of your videos behind Walmart and Home Depots, and
Yes. Yes.
yeah. And if you get caught, the worst they're going to tell you is you got to move on. Like
Move
when
on.
behind
Yeah.
Walmart. So
Yeah, so what I do a lot of times is I'll scout the area different times. Like that one storage shed that I did, my first storage shed. Um, I went there during the day. It sat across the street on that upper parking lot. And I went at 1 o'clock in the morning. I went at 10 o'clock in the evening for a couple times, and then I went up to the Adirondacks and did a camp, and then I came back and I revisited about a month later, and that was one of the most nervous camps I ever did. And so it's really scoping places out. What kind of what, and if it comes to a point, if you don't do it, most chances are it's not going to be there anymore after a while. I was told, I mean, I knew that place for years. Yellow gates open all the time, all the time, never closed. Pretty much after I did that camp at dark, when they close, those gates are closed now. So
yeah,
you kind of ruin areas as well, but at least you got a video out of it. And yeah,
yeah, that's kind of what Ken's saying. Ken is used to be in law enforcement, and he's kind of
yeah,
reiterating what we're saying here. And it's important to know your laws and your states and
yes.
your country. I know where Peter's at, above and below. He is in the UK, and it's illegal to stealth camp, so they call it wild camping, and this camp where you don't get caught, obviously. So,
Yeah. So when people ask me, I always say, well, you've got to look at and assume all the risk, you know,
mhm.
for it. But there's, uh, there's places that I've turned away. I think it'd make a great camp, but I don't want to encourage others to do the same thing. So,
Yes,
I
yeah,
take responsibility for that.
yeah. Well, the next question I had was kind of answered already. It's like about finding a good spot, and you kind of hit on that on looking at spots, and when you're out, like when you was on your travels back to Pennsylvania from Florida, you was scoping out new locations, which that's kind of
Yes.
what I do too. Is like, hey, that'd make a good stealth spot. So
Yeah. Once you do one, and it's like, you start always looking, even subconsciously you're driving a little slower and looking at a patch of woods with a little bridge, and you're going, and then, oh wait, and then you keep going. But i I do spend a fair amount of time driving, just driving, turn down this road, turn down that road, and I'll sometimes, oh my. And I may figure out a spot that's fairly close to me. When I say that within an hour, that I mark it down. I have on my phone, I create a list and I
Mhm.
put things on that list. And then, because believe it or not, I forget. And then try to go off that list when I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But then you go back by it, you look on, and that's the thing too. You do a lot of scouting on Google Earth, but no matter how much you scout on Google Earth, you've got to see the location, because I've already saw what would be a great camp and went there and all the trees are gone and there's a building there now that wasn't on Google Earth, um, 2 months earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken's got uh, here. He's like, I've been waiting to do a stealth camp for a little bit now. I'm just worried about getting caught pretty much, as there aren't any places to do it here. I took a poll, a few viewers wanted to see it. So, I mean, that's another thing. Even urban, I've seen you do a lot of urbans. A lot of yours is urban, but I mean, like you said, on roadsides, I've seen you do a lot of different places. Like I mentioned last night in your live, one of my favorites was when you backed into that graffitied building. That was a pretty cool one in the cold.
Yeah, it was cold. Yeah, that was cold. Um, but yeah, there's places that you can find, but that's why I say, urban is a lot harder for me. There's a lot of towns around me that, old abandoned, coal towns that are just falling apart. So there's houses, and so you might have a row of three houses where they're falling down, then all of a sudden there's one good one, and then
Yeah,
three on the other side too. So I'm not really in an urban, what you would consider, say, like an urban-ish kind of just outside a rim of a city. If I was closer to one of those, I would probably be able to, find more places, but it's kind of tough. And I've got quite a number of videos. I've done a lot of places, and just you start losing places to do unless you start expanding outside your area. That's why it's good to disperse. Like my channel isn't called, random stealth camping adventures.
yeah,
It's random adventures, and so I do have other stuff, car camping, and you know, uh, other stuff that I do. But the stealth camping, people like it, and they get
yep,
upset if you don't do many of them. But
yeah,
they're hard. It's harder to find places than it is not to find places. Yeah.
yep, yeah. Peter's here saying, "Yeah, Tony, Google is my go-to first thing, but doesn't show if ground is level." That's definitely.
Right.
I mean, that kind of goes with the safety concerns, all everything. Like you said, going into scoping out, you have to personally look at it. That's a good idea if you're going to go stealth camping to keep you safe and to see if it is doable. I mean,
Right. Right. And finding, the right day
yeah,
is tough too, because there's certain things you'd want to do on the weekend, certain things you'd want to do during the week. So there's certain, elements that play in that. Say like a warehouse that has a little patch of woods between two warehouses. Well, if the warehouse is 5 days a week, well then you got Friday night or Saturday night, to do it. But you don't want to do it during the week because people are coming in maybe an early shift, and yes, there's a lot to plan out. In other words, but it really, if anybody's, fearful of doing it or getting caught, don't do a situation where you could get caught.
yeah,
As much. I mean,
exactly.
it still has risk, and it
Hmm.
still gives the aura of it, but to elate fears, because you'll have a miserable night.
Yeah.
camping if you're
Gives you
worried.
that, yeah, gives you that
Yeah,
adrenaline rush that I mean, you get from stealth camping. Here
yeah.
Ken's got a good question too. He's like, Tony,
Okay.
has YouTube ever punished you for posting a stealth camp?
No, no, they haven't. Mm-mm. No,
Yeah,
the only
and
thing.
especially
Yeah.
because sorry to interrupt, but I mean, could like we saying, you're not purposely breaking the law. I mean, if you was like showed a no trespassing sign or whatever, and you just went in anyways, they probably would.
Oh, that would be different. Yeah,
Yeah,
encouraging that. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't. So no, they. I don't know what as it grows. I don't know what they're going to do with it later on down the road. Stealth camping, and that's why I say. I think it was a couple years ago. I'd heard this guy and this lady. Um, they were like Instagrammers or something like that, and they went into a Target and stayed there after night. When it closed, and they're walking around the store trying things on, or glasses and stuff, and then they left at 3 o'clock in the morning out the back door, and they had planned on coming back in when the store opened and been like, "Hey, we're here." Well, Target saw, they set the alarm off going out the door, and they actually had to go to court and stuff, and
wow,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't
that's
do that.
crazy. No.
Don't do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got another good question here from Dan. He's like, "What's the most sketchy stealth camp you've ever done?"
Uh, the most uncomfortable one, as far as worried, was probably my two shed camps that I did.
Yep,
The the
love
two
those.
sheds. Yeah, that was as far as sketchy. I don't know. I would the scary one of the scariest ones, but you don't see it in the film. It was more scarier after when I did that one abandoned building where
Hmm.
there was the satanic symbols and stuff in the building, and the metal roofs flapping, and it just didn't register with me because I'm in the moment and I'm filming and I'm wanting to make this good content. That was cold though. I slept on the cot. The mice came out, and I was feeding little
Oh
mice.
man.
But when I was in the editing process, I was like, "Why is that moving?" There was a room right next to me that had no windows, and I remembered hanging my uh, top quilt up on the thing, and it's blowing at different times. It's moving, but there's nothing else moving. And someone goes, I was watching that. Did you see that? Someone was looking at you from that dark room. I'm like, oh, great. And I went back and watched it. And I think, yeah, that was the scariest one, but it wasn't scary during there, but I'll never go back because in the morning, I found like beads, broken beads, just more evidence that there was a pretty nefarious place for not good stuff. And I think the place had been out of business for 50 years or something like that. So
Wow,
they, and the closest house in either direction is like 4 miles down the road. It's like the
wow,
only building in the area. Yeah, yeah.
awesome. Yeah, there's so many places. I mean, just like you said, stealth camping's not all you do, and I enjoy just as much of your hammock camps or your car camps. And your car camps, a lot of times, you stay at Cracker Barrels or places that are known for, but you also do stealthier type in your car too, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, like the abandoned mall,
Hmm.
some of those as well. But, with the car is really nice. I like doing car camps. Um, because it's a great way to travel. And I do Planet Fitness membership, the $25 upgrade from the $10 a month. That gives you access to um, any Planet Fitness across the United States. So when I'm traveling, that's where I get my showers, things like that, because I can take a shower 3 times a day if I wanted to. So that's great because I got everything I need in the car, for sleep, and all I got to do is pay for gas, basically, and food that I eat. So
Yep.
it's a great way to travel as well. And because of the way the car's set up, and I have the tinted windows, I can be laying in the back and you can't see me. So I can park on any road basically, and it just looks like somebody's even in a resident. I haven't done one, but I could probably even go into a residential area or an apartment complex or something
Yeah.
like that park. They'd think I was a guest, just visiting someone.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And Ken's asking, did you do a stealth camp in a baseball field dugout? I don't think
Yes.
you
Yeah.
you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did. Okay. So November 2 years ago, I did my very first one at a dugout not too far away. That one was a Thanksgiving one. So I think I had one of the dehydrated meals. I almost got busted on that one because it was just getting dark and there was this kid just showed up there. He had a jacket on. He was part of a rescue team. They were training dogs, and he was the one they were trying to find. And he's hanging out there. And he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm filming the sunset and things." I hadn't set my backpack up, taken my hammock out yet, but I waited till they left, and then I did, and I stayed the night there for Thanksgiving special. Then last year, not 2024. I guess it was the year before I did the rain dugout one, where it rained. I guess that was earlier. That was right before I went to HangCon down in Florida a year ago. So yeah, I did that dugout one, which that was pretty cool. The
Yeah.
dugout. Yeah.
You got so many. I mean, I looked today, you've got like 660 some videos or something like that. So, I mean, you've got so many videos to go. I mean, that's one thing I liked about your channel is because you've got a lot of content. It take you some time to go through it all.
Oh yeah, and there's I made playlists and stuff like so. There's 63 videos with the stroke recovery, but also has some camping in there. So the same camping one that might be in that playlist is also in like a stealth camp playlist. But I've broken it up to car camping, travel, things like that. Because when I drove across the United States, did those 37 videos, like going to Canyonlands, Moab, you know, Arches, Devil's
Mhm.
Tower, stuff like that. Uh, those didn't get very good video reviews or
Views, yeah.
watches. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
Well,
think when I got
and
back from that, I actually went back and revisited and said this one's where it all started, which I did a
mm.
same place at Centralia like a year later, and was better at it. Not in a blizzard though.
Yeah, a lot of people too. I've noticed. Big question is they're asking about gear and uh,
Sure.
what they need for. I mean, some of that's common sense, but some of it's not. And obviously, along with that is when you're done cleaning up and leaving no trace and not
Right.
destroying property.
Absolutely. Actually, with the leave no trace, sometimes there's other trash there. Just try to pick that up
Yep.
as well and take it out with you. And but gear, that's the other thing. What kind of camp is it going to be? It's going to be a stealth camp, but can you have it's a if you do a little backpacking burner, that fits, like where you just got to heat up water. So you use something small with a titanium cup while you
Yep.
pack that. That's an easy one. Maybe you can't cook on it. So that's part of goes into where am I going to go? Like when I did that shed, I took an MRE because I didn't want to have an open flame in somebody else's property. So there's little things that you go through like that you know um, and when I did next to the railroad track, I could have a little flame in a thing so I could cook hot dogs. So part of it is meal planning. Sometimes that's the hardest part. What are you going to make? How are you
Yep.
going to bake it? Things like that. what is the line of sight that you're going to, how do
Exactly.
you just disguise yourself? Do I throw up some camo,
Hmm.
to help managing light? Some people comment like, "Oh my goodness, you shouldn't be turning the light on." Well, it doesn't look like I ever turn the light off in the video because I don't sit there in the dark to talk to you. So a lot of times
Yeah.
when you see me with the light, I already know that, hey, I can use the light right now. So it's little things like that. How are you going to cook? What are you going to cook on? If you're, what kind of area do you have? How much stuff do you got to try to sneak into a spot?
Hmm.
So in the winter, it's harder, to do a stealth camp because your pack's so big because you
Yeah.
got
More gear. Yep.
more gear to stay warm. Um,
Yep.
or you don't take as enough gear and you freeze. And off camera, you're turning your burner on and putting it, your hands over it.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot, and you don't really need a lot of gear. You start adding more stuff, and your pack gets bigger and bigger. So and depends on if you're hammock camping or
Yep.
you're tent camping, or are you
Exactly.
just going to tarp camp and lay right on the ground? Because of my stroke and stuff, the hammock's perfect for me because I don't have to get on the I have trouble getting on the ground, um, and sleeping in it, getting in and out of a tent. But I used to
Yep.
take a stool with me and a chair to sit on. So you'll see a lot of that in early videos, where I'm. But then I'm like, well, I can sit on the edge of my hammock. I don't need a chair, so I ditch that sometimes. But sometimes I want to take it with me. So it's really
Yep.
figuring out what the scenario is going to be for each camp and what you got to take.
Yep.
Yeah, watch the
That's.
videos. You'll see different
Mhm.
things throughout the years of how things change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I say when people asking about stealth camping, I'm like, I try to send them to your channel or obviously Steve Wallace's channel, but he'll also
Yeah.
tell you what not to do really quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. One.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
When you're that big, you actually get a lot of people that do a lot of research for you on areas, and
Yeah,
then tell you about places. When you're not that big, you got to go find it all yourself. And
yeah,
like I said, it's a lot of research. But even him, I talked to him. Uh, was it right before this year, January 7th? And yeah, I said sometimes it takes a week to even find a spot, and he says sometimes two. He'll be driving around for 2 weeks trying to figure out where to go. And when you go into other areas that you're not familiar with, sometimes it takes you even longer. That's why when I do travel, you don't, like this time coming back from Florida, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting off of 95. I'm taking all a back road as much as I can and look for areas that, so next year, either on the way down or the way back, I can do some more stealth camping. But still, I didn't get to investigate it that much. It would take me maybe half a week. But I did met Joshua at my grandfather's fountain in Somerville,
yeah,
and I was asking him because he's homeless, and I said, "Hey, where do you sleep at here?" And he goes, "Well, I got a couple places," and he pointed over to the one building, and he goes, "Right next to those steps, there's a big bush," and he said, "I lay on the ground over there." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I won't point that out in the video when we're
yeah,
talking." And yeah, I don't want to spoil your spot. And for him, it was going to be really cold that night. I saw him the next morning. I didn't film any of that, but I wanted to get him coffee and breakfast and stuff like that. And I met up with him the next day, and I asked him. I said, "Where did you sleep last night?" He said he has a place that there's a business that has like a little storage area that's kind of heated from
mhm,
a refrigerator cooler that blows heat into this little room. He said because of the rain. I gave him a rain suit that I just bought, and he had that on the next morning. he had it actually under his clothes because he said I
Wow.
can wear these under my clothes to stay warmer. But he told me he slept there the night before. But he was competing. Some nights he competes with other homeless people, and he tries to stay in certain areas where there isn't a lot of people because some aren't very have nefarious reasons that you got to
Mhm.
be careful. So, like I said, I do this for fun, but I'm always very conscious of those that have to do it all the time, for a reason.
Yeah.
So anytime I do run into somebody or see somebody, try to, give them a hand or, find out a little bit more about them and encourage them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference, like you said, uh, the gear, what you need for the weather, you know,
Mm.
that's really good tips. And like I was mentioning in the comments of how you shower at Planet Fitness and stuff, because yeah, showers expensive. Um, you know, all aspects of stealth camping. It just really depends on so many variables, weather and like you said, what you're going to eat. I see a lot of people do super simple meals when they
Yeah.
stealth camp, like uh, stuff that doesn't need to be heated, sandwiches and easy stuff. Because sometimes you can't start fires.
No, and if you don't have a way to heat up water, I mean, I have um, like a bigger setup that I take. Uh, so I'll have a pan. I think I'm it's already packed away my other one, but this is, like this fire maple thing here.
Mhm,
Oh, get that open. So I take this sometimes, but it is bulkier than say like that little backpacking thing, but it's
mhm,
very compact.
yeah.
So I'll have this and inside of here is a gas bottle,
Mhm,
the burner that goes on top of the gas bottle that goes on the bottom. So, and also there's a rack, this right here, that if you don't use
mhm,
the bowl, you can do this with a small pan. So I have a pan, like I'll heat water up in this, and then if I'm cooking, say like a hamburger, I'll use this or an egg or something like that.
yeah.
So having something like this is pretty versatile because right there's the gas bottle too.
Yep.
So that's some different, just different things. It is a little heavier than, not much though, but it is a little heavier than say like a titanium cup with that burner and a small BRS burner or a
Mhm,
Desert Fox, real small, where you're just heating up water, taking a dehydrated meal, like a backpacker meal,
mhm,
um,
yep,
or you do an MRE.
yep,
People love seeing MREs, and it's big variety. So in mine, I did a lot of the. You'll see in the older videos, I did a lot of Ziploc bag meals.
yep.
Ramen noodle, throw a pack of tuna in with it, and you know nuts and peas and things like that. And I'd make a dessert, my famous Louisiana crunch cake
Yeah.
from Walmart with pineapples and brown
Mhm.
sugar and stuff like that. Make a pineapple upside down cake. But
Yep. We did
ever
that
since,
several times.
oh, it's good.
Oh,
So
it
and
is.
then I started doing the Butterfinger wrap. So I'd take the wrap and
Ooh,
some
yeah.
marshmallows, a Butterfinger, put that in there, and then grill it, on the grill. Oh, that's good. But what, 322 days ago I went carnivore, so I
Yeah.
only eat meat.
Yep.
So that's a big difference with trying to figure out what you're going to cook. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of options have changed or to make it not the same every single time. Yeah,
Throwing those olives in those noodles are really good too. And I did
yeah,
on one of my videos, I did that same wrap that you did. And uh, yeah,
yeah. Very, very good.
the Louisiana crunch cake and the pineapple upside down cake is the bomb. That is definitely my
Uh,
favorite dessert you've made.
it's amazing. I had shirts
Yeah.
made, the Louisiana crunch cake, and
Yep.
but I was making those a lot, and I was dealing with type 2 diabetes and stuff like that too.
Mhm.
So not a good idea. But
No.
people think I eat like that every day. It was just for the video, and but
Yeah.
since I've gone carnivore, I'm totally off all my meds.
Hmm.
All about 8 or 9 meds. Yeah,
That's amazing.
A-
That's
yeah, and I'm able to move my toes on this foot 4 months into it, which I wasn't from what almost 3 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is so amazing. Um, there's been a lot of good questions from a lot of the viewers. So if anybody else has got any more questions, shoot Tony some questions. That's what
Yeah,
we're here
absolutely.
for.
Yeah, I see. Herbert has said, I wonder if stealth fishing will be next fad.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be a challenge, I guess.
yeah, it could be. Yeah,
There's a little. You'd need a really small pole.
right. Yeah, yeah. Somebody sent me one. I have trouble casting with this hand, so they thought they sent me this one right
Well, like they
here.
said, I've seen a lot of stealth
What's
camping.
that?
You did a stealth camping video on a golf course,
Yeah.
so a lot of them have ponds that are stocked. There you go.
Yeah, the golf course, and you're actually able to fish at the one that I went to. So the golf course one that I did is that my one friend said out of all the camps that I've done, he said that was his most favorite because I wore a golf shirt, my
Yep.
golf shoes, my golf hat, golf pants, and I figured this all out while I was sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do while I was recovering from the stroke, and I can't golf anymore. Uh, I haven't tried, but I was like, I wonder if I can, because my golf clubs were still in the living room. I thought, I wonder if I can. And went over, I took all the clubs out, and I went into one pocket, and you can't reach into where the bottom of the clubs are. So I cut it with a razor. I cut it straight out so I could get to the inside. And then I just put my cooking stuff in there, anything that I could get in there, my hammock, everything in the bag, and then I took some of the um, clubs and put them back in, and then put it on and went, this will work. And then so I called my daughter again and I said, hey, can somebody drop me off at the golf course later tonight or this evening? And sure enough, they dropped me off and I found the spot, and yeah, it worked out good. I think I made
that
two
was
crunch cakes out on that one,
that
a
was a
double.
good episode. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And the guy Stitch, he
Mhm.
is the one that told me it was his favorite because it reminded him of some of the stuff that he did. y- Working with special ops kind of stuff. He said, because it was like you're the most disguised, for that.
It was
Yeah,
great.
the so when I did the one, it's not too far from where I did the shed for the first time, but this one was September of 22, and I lowered my backpack down a wall, and then I went down along the main road,
Mhm.
and I had a clipboard, a vest on, and a hard hat, and they had a big sign there for like Target and Giant and Dick's Sporting Goods and all those places, which was up in the complex. So I'm walking around looking at the sign with my clipboard on. If you watch that video, most people didn't catch it, but some people did. The clipboard still is in plastic because I just bought
Mhm.
it and didn't take the plastic off. Um, and there's no paper on it. So I'm walking around with a pen and I got this clipboard and I'm talking to the camera and stuff. And then I slipped into that little Kubi area there for the night.
That's awesome. Ashley said, "Is there any future new stealth locations or trips?" And I guess that kind of goes with you know, you saying earlier
Yeah.
that yeah.
Yeah. So So I do have, because Miss 2.0 went with me on the 15,000K special. So she said, because everybody's like, "Are you going to go again?" She goes, "I'll let you know on the Sunday Night Live." So anybody on here knows I do a Sunday Night Live. So that's why there is 600 and some videos, um, because some of those are all the lives. I think
Hmm.
got over 130 straight lives or something like that every Sunday.
Hmm.
So so that Sunday night, she goes, they were asking her, she goes, "I'll let you know on Sunday night." And they were asking her, and I looked at her and she said, "Yeah, I'm going to go on another one when you hit and she was going to say 20,000.
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, be careful." And I said, we might be there before you know it." She goes, 25,000 subscribers. I'll go again. And she goes, "And it'll be a stealth camp." And I went, "What?" I heard it here live. She said she's going to do a stealth camp. And ever since then, I've been dreading the day that we hit 25. I didn't think we'd get there so quick, but I'm like, it's hard enough doing a stealth camp by yourself, let alone taking your wife, and then who isn't a camper. And but I did
Yeah.
find a spot that I think it's gonna work for me to do. So I do have that one coming up. It's gonna be when it gets warmer and
Hmm.
coordinated with her schedule and stuff. But I do have that one. I found that spot just out of the blue. I've driven by there so many times, and then all of a sudden I found it. It's going to be a good one. Um,
I'm Yeah, I'm
yeah,
excited to see that one. Sure.
yeah. And then because this week I'd been going out and revisiting different areas and stuff, and there was one that I looked at twice now, and it's a warehouse, but right off the side of the warehouse. So that's why I said you got to do those when it's like maybe weekend and it's nobody in there. But didn't have anybody in it for the longest time. And then they got somebody in, went back and checked, and I don't think they're there anymore. So I'm not going in the warehouse, but it's going to be in an industrial park. So I've got that one. I've got a couple more. I got one I'm doing this week. I don't know. It's not going to be stealthy this week because I just need to get out because I slipped on the ice and I hurt my leg on that stroke side. So I'm going back to physical therapy was for the stroke, but then I slipped and fell
Yeah.
3 days before I was going to start back up again. So now I'm dealing with that and some original back pain that I had prior to the stroke. So it's kind of made getting out and going down hills
Hmm.
rough on my knee
Oh
and my
man.
groin, but that's getting better. So I've just took the time over the last 2 weeks to really revisit areas that I had looked at in the past to see if and checking them off the list. Like, nope, can't do that anymore. Oh, all the woods are cut down there at that intersection. I did do a really neat camp out next to a Dollar General,
Hmm.
just right over the bank. There's a little creek. It was one of the neatest places I ever camped, right in the middle of everything. And I did that one, but they've cut down all the trees on the side of it now, and they're putting a building on the grass that I had walked across. Their
Hmm.
construction equipment there just started this week. So, yeah, there's a lot of places that just disappear. So you almost got to try to get out and get them while they're still there. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like Herbert here's got a good question. The fact that you're doing this after a stroke is truly inspirational. What inspiration would you offer to incoming creators?
Uh, be yourself and don't worry about making mistakes. Show the mistakes because you want to put out a good video, but what I'm learning is that's why I show when I fall if I catch it on camera. I show my struggles because there's a lot of people that maybe don't have struggles or do have struggles and they're going, "Oh, I can't do this. This guy's perfect." No, let them see. Be authentic. That's the biggest thing. Don't try to do things. I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Don't try to be other people.
Exactly.
Figure out
That's
who you are
yep.
in it, because people, you find out if you got a lot of different things that you're doing, people watch. You find out later on that people are watching you just because of you. And
Yep.
you don't realize that when you're starting a channel, you think, "Oh my goodness, I got to do this right." Or they're hesitant to do something because they're not sure how, if they'll be able to do it. Do it.
Yep.
Film it. Let people see your hesitation. Let people see you become victorious after you're done doing it. Or maybe, oh, you know what, we're going to have to do this again. I got to bail on this one.
Yep.
That's okay, because people want to see you grow uh, in yourself, because basically people watch you to see how they can improve as well on their things. I mean, we all struggle with the same things, basically,
Yep.
when you really boil it down. And it's just how we handle different things. And people want to see you succeed, and they
Yep.
cheer you on, and you'll see that in the comments. I used to think, when I first got in, I would do these little edits, and I don't, from what I do now, you learn too. But you can make things too edited, you know,
Yep. Hmm.
and they actually say now, like me personally, I do camera changes and stuff like that, and people are like, "You got 5 cameras or something filming like that?" No,
Hmm.
I filmed with my phone up until 6 months ago. It was my phone. That was it.
Hmm.
One phone. So
Yep.
people are like, you need. I'm waiting to get involved. That's the other thing. Don't wait. Just do
Yep.
it, because if you wait till you get this next thing or that next thing, there's a new thing that comes out that you're going to always be waiting for, and then by the
Yep.
time you finally get everything, now you got to start implementing and learning all these different things, where you
Yep.
just starting out, you're learning as you go. And don't worry about if nobody really watch. Somebody's going to watch it, hopefully a family member. But don't even
Yeah.
worry about
Somebody.
that, because
Yep.
once YouTube starts figuring out that you're putting out regular content and who your audience is, then they'll start sharing it with other people that watch similar stuff. And
That's
then,
great
yeah,
advice. That's one of the questions I was going to ask later about the, you know, figuring out what YouTube. You figured, like you said, just put the content out there, and I've heard that over and over and over again. People are so worried about their analytics and so worried about this.
yeah, and you have basically no control over analytics, basically, except for put out content. That's what you're most in control of. And here's the thing: I tell people that are just starting a channel, all right, get 5 videos, keep them all private. All right, at least 5.
Hmm.
Get them out, get them, and don't worry about how they turned out. Just get 5. Then say, okay, today I'm starting my channel. Release your first one, and then the next week, don't release all 5, but the next week, if you're planning on doing 1 week video upload a week,
Hmm.
or a month, save the next one for the next month. But then always be out creating. This is the hardest thing to do. But if you're
Yeah.
just starting a channel, don't release anything until you've at least got 5 videos that you can space out. Like, okay, my night's going to be Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. Release your first one that you made Tuesday. Don't worry about how it does. Next Tuesday, release the second one. Next Tuesday, release the third one, because right out of the gate, you're going to give that first one a week for them to find your audience and to figure out who you are, because the analytics looking at all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then the next week they got a little bit better of an idea. Then the third week, a little bit better of an idea, and you'll start to see that. But also, are you consistent? The best way to be consistent is have at least 5 in the way to go from private to schedule.
Hmm.
And then that way, you're right out of the gate, you're consistent every week for at least 5 weeks if you're doing it weekly, or 5 months if you're doing it monthly, or you get the idea.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
whatever you're
Mhm.
going to do, whatever you feel that, and it'll give you a good gauge of what you're doing for 5 weeks. Like, was this too much for me? You'll know how long it took you to get 5 videos. So can I keep that up? Or, do I need to spread these out once every 2 weeks? You'll kind of get a feel for it. Yeah. But that would be
Mhm.
my best advice, because once you, and here's the thing, don't worry, just commit to doing it for a year. And even at a year, you're going to find out whether you enjoy it or if your genre changed. All right. Um, but don't be so concerned with the numbers. Just keep putting out content, because when somebody finds you, they're going to all of a sudden go, oh, this guy has more videos. And then they're going to
Mhm.
start watching more videos. I remember last year when I went down to HangCon, it hit me, that as I was driving, I was people were watching videos. And I was
Mhm.
like, wait a minute. I never really looked at my analytics, but I can go onto my analytics now and say in the last 2 days, maybe 3,000 views. And but it's not the video I just put out last Thursday. So they'll start showing how many views per video. Like, there's one of my gold panning videos. Okay, it was kind of, when you put a video out, it goes up just a little bit and then it dies on the vine, and it may go like this. So it took it 3 years. It went to get to like 20,000 views in 3 years. I looked
Wow.
at that one the other day because I always see it on my analytics. It's like, oh, in 2 days it did 300 views. I was like, what? All the way from back then. And I just looked at it the other day, and within the last 5 months, it did another 20,000 views. So once you have content out there, you don't know when people are going to find that video, and YouTube's going to go, oh, man, a lot of people like to watch this, and there's nothing else out there. So we'll just put this out there to them. And then people will start watching it. So the more videos that you build up, just always don't worry about the video you just put out. I mean, I still worry about the video I just put out. So, Tony,
Yeah.
listen to yourself. But just know that there's other videos that, as you're doing it, a year, 2 years, and I mean, I listen to stuff too on here, and they say most. This one guy said it usually takes 4 years to get to 1,000. This doesn't happen to everybody, but um, you know, I appreciated him saying that it takes 4 years,
Yep.
because there's so many people that get started and say, hey, I'm going to be able to retire on this, I'm going to quit my job and just be able to
Yep.
do this. That doesn't
Yep.
happen. I mean, I have
Mm-mm.
25,000 subscribers, but it's not about subscribers, it's all
No.
about views. So if you
Mhm.
just continue, just critique yourself, but have fun, and
Yep.
that will translate through. And then once people find you, you find out, oh, they do like my stuff.
Yep.
But if you're always looking at analytics, will discourage you. And they said, it's really a small. Most people that get started in YouTube, within a year to 4 years, they aren't doing it anymore. They
Yeah.
stop doing. They quit doing it because they don't see the results.
Yep.
They're looking for that instant. But just, if you're enjoying it, film yourself
Yep.
enjoying doing it, and then let it take care of itself. It will.
Yep. That's really,
That was
really good advice. That's answered a lot of questions that I had for future questions tonight, but I really appreciate the insight on that. And
yeah.
Mike here was, I was going to mention that earlier when not just yourself camping, but your car camping and your hammock camping when you do use your trail cams. I've started actually implementing that in my camping as well. I think that's a good idea too, not only to catch wildlife, but anything, you know.
Right. Maybe Bigfoot.
And we have a lot of people around here that believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah,
So
it'll be
that's
you could have the best camera in the world and it'll be blurry.
but we have all these high tech gadgets, and there isn't any clear video of them yet. So,
Right. And everybody's got a cell phone. I mean, my cell phone here films
yep,
4K and everything. You know,
yep.
it's very good.
I think I'll move into, since we've got a lot more questions building up here. I think I might
Yeah.
start moving into asking, more questions from uh, subscribers here.
Okay.
Kim's got another good one. He's like, Tony, what do you use for lights for filming regular
Sure.
videos for nighttime?
So my light is packed away right now, but it's called O light, O bulb. It's a little round light and it's got a magnet on the back. A subscriber told me about it when I was just new into my channel. He goes, I get them for all my family. They're USB charged. I just went on to Amazon to look to see, and they don't have any right now because I actually, in the description of all my videos, you'll see a store link for the Amazon store.
Mhm.
And if you click on that link, it will take you. And I've kind of, if it can be gotten on Amazon, I have a link. So there'll be a tab. It'll say lighting. So all the lighting I use is in there. So even like down to the studio lights here is on that tab for lighting. And then I add stuff like hammocks. There's a hammock section in there. There's cooking. If you can get it on Amazon, it's in there. There's backpacking food. There's even a carnivore tab now for vitamins I take, or
Wow.
things like that. Like I take this here because as far as liver, well, I
Mhm.
take beef organs and stuff just to get the A's and other vitamins in there. But I created that YouTube that Amazon store because people always ask, what do you use for this? What do you use for that? Even the tripod or you know like a small rig. Uh, so here's a small
Yeah.
rig. So my tripod, I'll have my tripod there, and then I'll have this where I can tighten this down and put my phone there. If I want to film
Mhm.
something with my phone for time lapse, I can do that on there. But I do use the Osmo Pocket 3
Yeah.
camera. That's got amazing nighttime mode, low
Okay.
light mode. But then again, my phone does a great
Yeah.
job, and I use the Samsung 23. But when I started, I had an S9, and that was for the up until November, so March to November. Then I got a 21, and for 2 years I filmed with the 21 Samsung S21.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
good phone. Yeah.
yeah,
I use a Pixel 8, and it works really good. It has really good night capabilities as well. And that is important. It's funny you say the Olight Bulb. I was going to talk about that earlier, but um, past Christmas, I got a gift card, and Bass Pro.
okay.
Well, actually, Nebo has one that's almost identical to the Olight Bulb, and I thought of you when I purchased that. I was like, man, that is going to come in handy.
Yeah, because that I can hold just off camera facing me. A lot of times when I'm in the hammock, I'm like, hey, got the old light old bulb. Oh, but it gives you good lighting. Northwest wind and Rewild Outdoors. I gave Rewild Outdoors one when I was down in North
Hmm.
Carolina filming with him because yeah, he was using what is it? What's that little camera? Action camera.
GoPro.
Yes. So he was using a GoPro, and he's like, "Man, night it's hard,
Yeah.
and either that or a real bright light." And I'm like, "Here, use an old light old bulb." And then he started using all of his, and it's a soft yellowish light, and you can even make it go to red mode too. So sometimes if I'm just there, don't want people to see me, I'm red mode and just working around camp. Yeah.
Yeah. I was sorry. I was reading some other comments here, and
Go, you go. Yeah.
um, let's see here. Herbert says, I always feel like when I'm camp I worry my lights would aggravate neighbor campers if I want to film after dark. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times when it's dark and you've got other campers near you, um, if they don't know what you're doing,
yeah,
but just having a small handheld light and you're filming closer to you, and then if you want to show around, just I just pan and stuff, but. Yeah,
yeah,
most people that are camping will put up a string light, like those lights
mhm,
that I've got strung up back there.
yep,
I mean, depending on what I'm doing, where I'm at, sometimes I'll put those up because I can change the colors, you know.
yep. Yeah, you got those in your similar to those in your Subaru too, right?
Yeah, those I got. They're actually called fairy lights. They're real thin wire, and I went around my cargo net with them. That's between the straps in the car, and I use that when I'm in the car.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
they stay there all
awesome.
the time. It's a pain to get those wrapped around. So,
Yeah, awesome.
uh,
Let me look here. Running out of questions here. Let's see here. Ken was saying that I tried to have 4 videos uploaded, but private. It's a solid advice. Yeah, that was going on. Or your
mm,
advice on having your 5 videos. That's a really good
yeah,
idea. It's good to have extra ones, and two, if you get sick or whatever, you're going to have extra videos in queue to be able to upload. So
yeah. And once you've got those five, that's when you don't quit. You've now got a theme going, and you can continue to add to it. So one goes up, you might have your fifth one done again. Number two goes up, you've got number five again. So it keeps you ahead. And then, like you said, if you get sick or you can't get out, you've got some in reserve. I find, you know, I'm always like, oh, I don't have any video for this week. I got to get out and get one done. So,
yeah,
but with starting a channel, that would be key is to have those to go so you can show YouTube you're consistent right away without being
yeah,
consistent. Yeah.
yeah. That's real good advice. Yep. And it's less stressful, like Ken said. I mean, uh,
Mm.
minimum of two. I mean, but I have a bad habit of not having multiple ones, um, and it is hard, especially when, like you said, you have scheduled days of the week, like I do too. If you need to get extra ones built in, so it's not so stressful. Like you said, oh man, I got to get out and get a video. You know,
Right, right. Yeah, and then what's the weather going to be like? Yeah, there's a lot. Or you get to a spot that you thought was going to be good, now it's not good. Yeah.
yeah. TD Nyes and Venture, he's like. I tried filming a video this weekend, but the house behind us was having work done on it. So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing as you go out and airplanes and everything else. I mean, I'm getting to where I just film it, big deal. I mean, if it's noisy or whatever, sometimes you can't control um,
Yeah,
that in the
yeah.
background.
And a lot of times if you put the effort in, let it happen.
Yeah.
Say, and even say, hey, if it's a stealth cam, you're like, this guy's working right over there. You're gonna hear him, but we're gonna stay hidden. That adds to it, actually.
Yep. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. And like stealth camping's a good thing is you really don't have to worry about it because if you're actually doing those, you can't really control what's going on anyways. I mean, and that's part of the fun of it.
Right.
Like that one stealth camp you did, trying to remember where you were at. You was in town somewhere and you was in that building that, and you set the hammock up where there was no roof. I can't remember where that was at, but that was a great uh, location. I
Oh, oh, was it part of it had no roof or?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that might have been in that abandoned building where I used the cot and the mice came
Yeah.
out. But yeah, there was another one that I did. In fact, I'm thinking about on a rainy one go to this one. It the part when I set up before, I was pretty close to where there was no roof. But it's the main building has no trespassing and stuff. The other one just says no parking. So, and it's an
Yeah.
old small metal building, and it's in a town. So I'm probably going to do that one because it's got really nice street light coming in the windows. I think it'd make a good one now that I'm a little different with filming as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Let's see here. I had another. Let's see here.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like, summertime sometimes for abandoned buildings, things like that is harder because you got kids out of school and they're like, "Hey, let's go, run through this building." So you kind of there's places that it's seasonal. Like I couldn't do a baseball dugout when they're, during the summer because kids go hang out in there, so you had to pick a time where it was winter, and that one I think it was late November, or oh, no, it was in December, late December. Oh, it was between Christmas and New Year's. I did that one, and it rained a lot.
Well, that kind of goes into the next question that Dan's asking. He's like, what do you recommend for videos to keep the momentum of your views going if the weather isn't cooperating?
uh, so
Yeah,
recommend for videos keep the
momentum
momentum.
going.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, trying to figure out like if you're tent camping or so my thing is I don't like to tear down in the rain because the camera stuff now and but um yeah, if weather's a factor, you'd want to look for maybe a park, that's like part of a state park area that has a pavilion, where you can camp out under a pavilion or a building that doesn't you're not going to be affected by rain, or get there before it rains, and it's going to rain because you look at the hourly weather and see the storm coming, so you're like, oh, I got to get out there an hour earlier and get set up.
Mhm.
But this rain video is going to sound great on my tarp, things like that, because those are all things that people like to hear and see. Now, me personally, if you watch a lot of my earlier videos, I would, I struggled with music. That was the hardest thing for me. Like when Lisa and I would go for a hike or something like that, because a lot of people were using music, during
Mhm.
scenery and things like that. And tying your music to a scene is
Mhm.
tough.
Yeah.
Tough. I think I even did a video of that once, saying, hey, picking the right music for this scene, and I would,
Mhm.
play three different songs for a scene and go, oh, this is the one. But sometimes I would spend an hour on just one, looking for one clip of a song that would fit that scene. What I was doing though is I was putting that in where I lost the natural sound of the woods. And I realized that's why I'm out there, is to hear the woods, not hear a song come on, like,
Yeah.
oh, and I'm doing that. So I chose to only do intro song and an exit song.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I used to be part of my editing app was this two songs.
Mhm.
Well, then all of a sudden the editing app didn't carry those songs anymore. Uh, uh, Premium Beats picked it up,
Yeah.
and I got a copyright strike. So I went in, bought it, and put my license number in for it, and it went away. The copyright strike went away within that day. So I had to do that for like weeks. It was just a pain to do, but I
Yeah.
still wanted it in there. Then all of a sudden, it didn't happen for a while, and then I got a copyright strike again. It's just you can dispute a copyright strike. So I go in and
Yeah.
dispute it, and I put it in, and then it'd be a day, 2 days, 3 days, and then it said in there, they've got 30 days to react to it. Well, I'm putting out a video a week. I don't
Yeah.
gotta wait 30 days, for the dispute. If they don't respond, then it's yours.
Okay.
They didn't dispute it. If not, it goes into escrow, and then they can take it. And you know what I said? Until this is resolved, I'm just not going to use the music. I hated it because I love my music, and so I didn't use it for a while. And then this Thursday night's video, it's in the old videos, and sure enough, I upload it and it goes copyright strike.
Oh no.
so so I think Shutterstock or somebody has the songs now, but my license number still works. But they don't dispute it for 30 days. And I'm still waiting for that one I did Thursday. So I'm like, do I even use the music anymore? It's frustrating.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to change some things up, like get right to it, things like that. I still love having an ending music. I still
Yeah.
would like to do that. Um, but yeah, I chose just to use beginning and ending, and now I'm choosing not to use anything if I'm going to keep getting copyright strikes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that's what I kind of like to do. I go out because I like hearing what you're hearing and seeing what you're seeing, and not necessarily, there's times for music clips, like you
Yeah.
say, but I fell in love with the ASMR videos, the silent videos where you hear nothing but nature, and that's what mostly I do on my
Yeah.
videos because I want the viewers to hear what I'm hearing because that's what I go out and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I get mixed feelings from subscribers on that. Some people want you to talk so they can get to know you, your personality, and that. And I get that.
Yeah. So because I talk, right? My
Mhm.
one buddy's going, Tony, I'm telling you, you need to make a video of this ASMR. Just go out, don't say a word, and things like that. And I was like, no, no, I don't want to do that, Dave. I said, I can't do that. I feel like I need to say something. And he's like, trust me, just do it. So I thought, okay, it's like 2 years ago. It was in the fall, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to this spot. Tony, don't say a word. And so I'm filming this thing. Well, in the middle of doing all of that, I'm struggling, like, oh, I want to talk. Well, it got to be night and and evening, and my headlamp shined, and I saw this. It looked like a piece of thing from, say, like a fishing lure. Or it just caught my eye.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I wonder if somebody dropped something in the leaves. And I start walking over there, shine my flashlight on it, and I realized, move the leaf, and it was a spider looking back at me. His
Ooh.
eyes were like green. And so I'm like, oh, that was a spider. So I backed up, went back, sat on the hammock, and then my headlamp was on, and I started moving my head like this. There must have been about 200 spiders in and around me.
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, oh, great. And here I'm not talking right in this video, but now all of a sudden the concern is on me. So I edit when I'm out filming. I edit because I got my phone. So a lot of times in between scenes, or waiting for it to get darker or whatever, I'll edit. So I kick back and I'm laying on the hammock and I'm editing, and I was like, oh, I don't remember a spider crawling across you know the front of my camera. It wasn't. It was in my hammock, and I realized it, and I threw it. And so I put that video out, and people in the comments, they were like, oh, Tony, is everything okay? You didn't talk at all on this video. And I says ASMR in the thing, but they're like, are you okay? I got so many comments like, oh man, everything's gonna be all right. Whatever you're going through, reach out to me. And I'm like, everything was fine. And then, but I was struggling, one, with how to film without talking, and then also all these spiders. And so I shared
Yeah.
it and people were like, "Don't ever do another one of those videos again."
It is super hard when you want to say something, and
Oh,
and I can use Luke, Total Outdoor Gear Review. He has a silent, adventures channel. So he's got
yeah,
two channels now because he likes to
yeah,
talk in his gear review, but he also likes to do the ASMR silent, which I really enjoy his
yeah,
content. Um,
yeah. The outdoor gear review. Yeah, Luke. So so I this was September in 2022. All right. So I did a mountain camp video, and then I thought, you know what? I was getting into doing some ASMR with gold panning, the
mhm,
sound of the rocks, just making a few little things. And I had the idea, you know what? I've already edited this video, but I still have all the content on my phone, all the video clips. Why don't I just redo it and then put that out as an ASMR? And it was easy to do, because all the sound was there of the nature, owls I had in there, everything. And I did that, and that's when my channel started to grow. And it's like, no, I'm not going to put that video out because I got to create a new content. So I put that on the back burner. I've tried to pull that out 3 times now and put it up just as a backup. But
uh-huh.
I haven't done it, but I really like it. And it's funny because I was going to put it out once, and I was like, well, wait a minute. It's winter. That's got leaves on the trees. I can't do it, so I didn't do it. And
Yeah.
but yeah, what he a lot of those videos that you can do is if you want to do like he's doing. A lot of
Mhm.
those are videos that he filmed actually as part of his gear review,
Yep.
but then
Hmm.
he stays overnight, so then he'll take that extra content and then build it out for that other channel. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Dan said you could do ASMR, but use cue cards to see what you
Right.
want. That's pretty.
Right.
That's kind of what I do with the text
And
on the
then
screen.
yeah, a lot of people do that, text on the screen and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see Luke doing it a lot too.
Yeah. I ended up um with that one video. There is like 1 or 2 times where I slipped and you can hear me talk in that. And so it's not a complete one. That one that where all the spiders were. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was interesting. I had a lot of spiders in my hammock.
oh man, I don't do spiders.
I don't do
Uh,
spiders either that good
uh,
when they're on
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Looking at them, they're like, "Oh, there's a spider." But then when it's on,
Well, Christopher asked, that's a good question. What is ASMR? Guess I missed that. Well, ASMR is just not talking in the video, so they're being quiet, and so they can hear the sounds around you. Which going with stealth camping, ASMR would be super difficult because you need to talk to your uh, subscribers
tele-
and tell them what's going on.
yeah, and that's where you could use the text as well.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I don't know that it would be as good. It
Yeah.
might be. I mean,
I don't know.
there. Yeah, I mean, some people don't talk because they're not comfortable talking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people do that. Like, what am I going to say for a whole video? I have no problem talking, as you can see.
Yeah.
You get
Just
on my
talk.
live, it goes 2 hours, and I'm like, oh no, squirrel. Yeah,
Yeah, I tell people. People thought that's why I didn't like to talk. And it's like, no, I can. I love to
yeah,
talk, but
yeah,
my thing is that's my favorite part is going out and enjoying the nature. But
and
well,
hearing, yeah,
I started doing a few talking, so I don't mind.
yeah.
Let's see here. Trying to make sure I'm not missing any good
Oh, Herbert's asking,
questions.
have you ever put Easter eggs in your video?
That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah, not Easter eggs, but I have put in that one. I guess it's the last. so I've never put out a 3-hour video either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did that the other day. Actually, people said, "Oh, I really like the long videos." So
Yeah.
here I was trying to get them down to like 20 minutes, and I've never been able to get really a video down to 20 minutes, 30 something maybe. Um, it's just so much. I mean, you'd have to cut
Mhm.
so much out.
Yep.
But some people do real good with 10, 20-minute videos. I just, you know, my viewers like a longer video. And that's one of the
Yep.
things as you're starting a channel, don't worry about how long the video is. They can hit fast forward, just get out there and get comfortable doing videos. Just don't worry
Yeah.
about. You'll learn what to cut out. Like, you don't need to show cracking all 3 eggs into a pan. You know, crack the first one and then, maybe just on the third one, cut out everything except for you opening up the third egg, and
Mhm.
so you find little things to make it flow, but sometimes you can cut too much and people are like, they don't need to see you stirring your
Yep.
coffee for 10 minutes, but I used to, yeah, you learn a lot as you're doing it, and you find out what people like, and people like when I get close to the 50-minute mark in
Yeah.
my video.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
AB
Mhm.
camping, he has a
Yes.
5-hour
Yeah.
video, three
Oh
hours,
man.
5 hours.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Some channels I like long videos, like you
right,
say. Yours are longer. I enjoy yours. Uh, you keep people entertained. But there's like SB Outdoors. He's totally ASMR, and his videos are not super long and not super short. And his keep me. He's such a good. Uh, he does
yeah,
great content.
it's good. Yeah, and when you're doing ASMR like that, um, camera work is really
Oh
important.
yeah.
Giving different perspectives and things like that. With the sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keeping viewers
work way.
occupied with their visuals stimulus. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta. I know I struggle with that, and a lot of people's given me advice about camera angles and showing different things. And like you say, you use just the camera, your phone forever, and moving to different areas, and uh, it's
yeah. I
important.
mean, I don't know what you edit on, but I'll give some of my. This is the Tony 2.0 tip of the day. So you may, you'll see it in some of my videos. Like if I'm doing something and I'm talking and I don't want to break it up and move the camera and stuff like that. After I film that section, I'll be like, yeah, boy, that tree branch over there is kind of hanging, but I'm right in the middle of doing something. After I'm done, I remember some of that stuff, and I'll go, oh, get a shot of that, and then I'll overlay that because when I'm
Yep.
talking and I say that, and I look over here, well, then I can overlay that shot on top of that, because it breaks it up, but I'm still talking. So on a second line, I'll put B-roll, you know, and sometimes I'm talking like this. I'm all done doing everything that I did. And then I'll take the camera and I'll set it, keep my face out of it. Sometimes you'll see my mouth move and I try to mimic what I did, or maybe I've just got a shot of my feet, like, hey, one of the good ones. My wife's like, "How do you do that? The phone was just way up there in the tree." So, like when I did one camp, yeah, I had it way up on a 360 pole, extended pole on top of the
Mhm.
tripod, way up in the air, and I sit in the hammock, and you can see me all in the hammock, and I'm going, "Oh, my feet, you know, are swinging." Right. So I did all of that, but then when I was all done filming, I brought it down, and then I lined it up on the ground where I could see where it was showing my feet. And then I swung and I'm filmed my feet doing that,
Mhm.
swinging. And then when I put that in, when I said, "Oh, my feet swinging," it goes to my feet and then it goes back up in the tree. The feet were filmed after. you know, and then like I'm, swinging in the hammock. Well, I will then, get my camera when I just film my feet and then second B roll. And sometimes I'll talk on my B roll because you're not going to use the sound. And I'll
Mhm.
go, I'll have the camera facing out that way, looking at the scene, but I swing on the hammock to try to mimic the same swing as me being there. I'll put the camera this way, looking that way back on the tree, and you can see it swinging. I swing it. I don't shoot it still because in the original one I was swinging. So those are all things that go in your mind, but that's all B-roll. Sometimes I never even use half of this stuff I film on B-roll, but I've got it in
Yeah.
case I want to put something in, like say I'm going too long without, just I'm not droning on, but I could be, and people care less what I'm saying at this point. But if there's that little B-roll of a change, oh, it snaps them back in. They still may not know what I'm saying, but like the visual you were saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It keeps it, I mean, gives you options to fill in, like you say. And I mean, that's really good advice. It's so hard as upcoming creators or people, like you say, just starting, um, to know, like you say, having B-roll and different stuff like that, something that you need to learn to better your channel and your content.
yeah. And like I said, you watch Camping with Steve. He's getting
Yes.
into more of that now. But most of his stuff was just camera, 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 camera. Set it down. He cooked. Not a lot of B-roll. So don't think that you've got to be, doing a ton of B-roll, things like that. It's really about getting out and showing people you're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, regardless.
And
Yeah,
showing who you are, like you touched on earlier,
yeah,
be yourself and show people your mistakes and don't cut everything out. And like you said,
right,
to learn what you need to cut out.
right, right.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
really
just
good.
just just be genuine and be the same person you are every day
Yeah.
because then you don't have
Yep.
to try to figure out who you are every time you go out in the woods. Yeah,
That's what I've liked about the community. And we talked in a couple lives before that I said, that's what I like about YouTube. Not everybody is who I mean, it's the actual reality TV to me because every person that I've met off of YouTube is genuine. Like you said, I could tell by their videos they're being genuine. They're not over editing out and making themselves look perfect. Like you said, you don't need to look perfect.
no, no,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's great advice. I'm glad you touched on that earlier because I mean, people need to hear that because a friend of mine, we just talked about this a few days ago that, sometimes you feel like he over edits his videos and, I find myself
yeah,
doing that too.
yeah. Like Christopher just said here, I think after a while, people watch your vids just to hear your voice.
Yep.
And depending on what your genre is too, some I got one guy, he's known me for a couple years now. I met him a couple years ago. And then I told him about my channel. He's never gonna watch it. I knew that. And but I just met the guy and I was getting ready to go on my trip across America. Well, I met him again about 6 months ago, and this is 3 years later and or 2.5 years later, and told him about my channel again. He's like, "You got a YouTube?" I said, "Yeah." So he doesn't have watch stuff on his phone, but one day, just 2 weeks ago, he says, "Hey, you got can you watch that on YouTube TV?" I said, "Absolutely." He goes, "I'm going to put you in. Have my wife do it for me." So she put me in so he could watch one of my videos. Well, now I come up in his feed, and
Oh.
he has trouble sleeping at night, so he always watches woodworking and stuff. And he said, "I wake up in the middle of the night and you're standing right there talking to me." And he he looked for me for 2 days to come down and have coffee where I get coffee at, they kept saying, "Oh, you missed him. He was just in here looking for you." I said, "Oh, why is he looking for me?" "Oh, because he wants to tell you something. He watched your videos. His wife put you in." And he says, "I come on every night now because he just lets the TV play, and he wants to know if I told him something or he saw it on the video." He said, "I heard your voice, but I couldn't open my eyes to see what you were doing." But yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Kid saying here, with a face like mine, I need a lot of editing.
A lot of B-roll, right? No. Yeah, and
And
it's
then,
good to make fun of yourself too, because
yeah,
you do that just like here, do that on your videos too. Yeah.
yep, absolutely. And then Adam was saying the use of drones, that's a really good. I've been trying to implement that in my videos more too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had drones. I have one sitting over there, a Roku, really nice drone. I've got another drone, but I actually don't fly the drones. I mean, I have that one pocket drone that just goes out and comes
Yeah.
back only because my my one friend was like, "Oh, you need a license and all that stuff, and when you're monetized, you got to be very careful because people were getting in trouble for it." So I was like, I love to implement it, but I was starting to take the license, do the license for it, and yeah, I was getting people commenting, "Do you have a license for that thing?" And I was like, "Oh,
Uh-oh.
no, I'm in the class," because the bigger I was getting, I just want to, not get in trouble. So I'll use a lot of my shots though, I'm getting, not above the trees, but that's why I got that 360 pole and send it way up there, and it looks like, I've got a drone looking down at me at times.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've got that little drone that'll follow me as I walk, you
But
know.
well, yeah, that's a nice drone.
Yeah, yeah. I don't use it as much, but yeah, 'cause a lot of times it's windy and it's like, it's too windy. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Looks like Ken's got a good question here. He's like, Tony, are you going to be at the Woolly Swamp hang next month? I noticed you in one of your videos being there in the past.
Yeah, yeah. I went down first time last year. I would like to go again. I just not sure tax time and all that stuff. I just reached out to my tax lady. She's getting finished up with my stuff. But I'm hoping I want to I don't know time wise if I'm going to be able to because I've got that meetup coming in May
Yeah.
24th, which is going to be at the amusement park in Knobles, because it's free to park, free to walk into the amusement park. The only thing you pay for is if you want to get on a ride or buy something to eat. So I'm hoping that becomes like Sturgis was started by three guys. I want that day to become the YouTube creator subscriber meetup, at that location from anywhere people can come and see creators and meet subscribers. So I got that coming up on the 24th, and I'm trying to time. I wanted to make a trip where I got to look at the exact dates for the Woolly Swamp. I wanted to go again this year, but I also need to try to get out to California, not California, Texas, New Mexico. There's a camp that I'm planning on doing with another creator out that way, but I also want to stop in Alabama. Camping with uh, Camping with Champion. I don't know if you know his
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want
I
to.
subscribe.
Yeah, I want to do a camp down there with him before he comes up for that meetup. He's driving all the way up from Alabama to the meetup. Um, like I said, that meetup, it's kind of. I had an idea for it last year, but there was no time to really get it. But Pavilion C is where all the YouTubers are going to show up and come there, and then it's going to be from the time they open to till midnight. So I
Wow.
told people if you're coming, let your subscribers know and that you're going to be at the pavilion at 4 o'clock, Pavilion C, to like 6 o'clock. so that they can come do the park and then see you as well. But it's my hopes. I'm working with the marketing director. Eventually, I'd like it to be like Boy Scout Day, Girl Scout Day, Veterans Day, or whatever day. You know how they camps host those things. I'd
Yeah.
like it to be a
Mhm.
YouTube Creator Day and Subscriber Day, um,
That would
and
be,
then have that grow to where it's an annual thing. Well, it's going to be annual for me
yeah,
because I'm going to keep doing it every year, May 24th, which
that's
is
awesome.
Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
Yep. Ken's also adding to that. I'll be at the Woolly Swamp Hang. It's only an hour from him. He's there in North
Oh,
Carolina.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great, Ken. Hopefully, I can get down there and do that. That would be awesome.
Yep.
I loved it down there last year. And Wild Outdoors, he came up, he drove up from Gainesville, Florida for it. And then we camped right
Wow.
next to each other. But also, I don't know if you guys know this um, outside of here, but Mr. Beast, his one airplane crash video where him and his buddies uh, lived out of that crashed airplane. They dropped it from a crane, and then they had to live, out of the plane, and stuff would get dropped for them by
Mhm.
helicopter. A road where we camp, a road was put in through the swamp for that video, that one video. The road that goes back through the swamp was to get the crane back there, and that's why they have now additional camping at Woolly Swamp. They also have the Mr. Beast cabin. The cabin is the cabin that they found in the woods during that video. But yeah, that they really got blessed, but because he's from that area and still lives in that area.
Wow.
But yeah, but that's a neat place. And when I was driving down, I bought a Mr. Beast couple candy bars, and I thought, oh, I'm going to eat these on the video, not knowing I was going to the place where he filmed that video. And I actually went back after I was all done. Couple weeks later, I went and I found in that video, and I watched it, and the angle from the plane crash right up there was the trees I was hanging in. Yeah.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I would love to try to get there this meetup, but definitely going to be on my radar for next year if I don't make it to this one. Um, and I'm torn. I want to go to Hang Kong too. So and my wife is like,
Yeah.
"Well, which one do you want to go to?"
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I said I'll
Yeah.
probably get to see Tony at either one, so that I mean it's a
Right.
win-win.
Yeah.
You're planning
Hangcon.
on going next year, right?
Oh, yeah. It's Martin Luther King weekend every year. So I'm definitely going again next year. Because one, it's warmer.
Yeah.
It was 1 degree here in Pennsylvania while I was down there. Our pipes.
Wow.
My wife said the sink froze only for a day, but she let the water drip too. But it was so nice, and I got to film like the airport because I stayed a night in the cell phone parking lot after I filmed the parking garage. The next night I stayed in the cell phone parking lot, but I didn't film it. I just stayed there
Oh,
for the day, drove around, came back there and slept there, and then went and picked Stitch up the next morning. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, but I got to.
Yeah.
It was a good way for me to film more videos than being here frozen.
Well, Ken's got a good question. You said earlier, but might repeat when your meetup is and where it's at.
Oh, oh, sure. You know what? Let me type it. I can type it in here. So if you look up KNOEBELS, amusement, AMUSEMENT park, ARK. It's going to be May. I talk about it on my Sunday Night Lives as well. But
Yep.
look the park up because they've got like there's at least 800 camping sites either in or right around the park. May 24th. I guess I'll put the 2025.
Yep, it's going to be
There.
annual. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to do the but it would be knobles.com or knobles.amusement.com, but or knobles.com. But yeah, even if you go on YouTube and type in, in the search videos for um Knobles Park, you'll see a lot of people have done videos on there. They've got I think it's the oldest wooden roller coaster in the United States. They've got a lot of roller coasters. I forget how many, but it's a great venue. Like I said, the reason I chose that is because a lot of people don't can't afford to spend money to go somewhere, with the
yeah,
exception of gas and maybe a campsite, or maybe they just want to travel there, go in, meet people, walk around. There's free entertainment that goes on the stage twice a day. So if you're close by the area, you can go over there, park for free, walk into the park for free, get an ice cream cone, walk out of the park, and then get in your car. And the only thing you spent was the ice cream cone. So
yeah.
it's a great place.
Yeah, I think it's a great choice for, especially for you, and it's close to where you live, and
Yes.
it's I looked, it's about 15 hours from me. It's not terrible far from me. Um, like I said, if
Mm.
I don't get it this year, I'd like to put it on the radar definitely for next year. But um, because
Yeah,
HangCon,
that'll
that's in
yeah that'll be the
is that
second annual next year.
yeah,
Next
it's
year will
be
be the
good.
second annual. Yeah.
That's going to be
So
good. First
April
one's going to
4th
be a
through
good one though.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, well,
well,
and like I said, there's other creators that are coming that
mhm,
I know of, and so far there's about 15 creators. I think there's more um, that just haven't said they're coming yet. But there's, you know, Ohio, Virginia, Hammock Mountains coming. So, and there's a lot of outdoor channels that watch my stuff too that aren't
yep.
camping, but fishing channels. I
Mhm.
do go to a meetup, Freezer Bound Outdoors. There's a bunch of creators that I get together with out there every once, um, last couple of years, 2 years, and a lot of them are coming. There's some of the gold panning people that I follow and follow me are coming. So it's going to get bigger and bigger every year, more and more creators.
Yeah,
And I encourage everybody to make a video about Knobles because that's their kickoff for the summer. So one, it's going to be a lot of videos about meetups and my day at Knobles, and it'll be good for them as well. A lot of people don't know about their park, and it's
yeah.
1926 is when they started. A
Wow.
family started. Family still owns it. Yeah.
That's crazy to think it's that old, and I like you said in your live, I mean, they've been tried to be bought out for several times,
Mm.
and for them not to sell out, that's really cool.
Yeah, there's a farmer that owns the field that has, he's like a millionaire because Knobles buys or rents. He didn't sell them the land for the parking lot because it was a lot smaller,
Yeah.
years and years ago. So they've been renting these fields off of him for parking for, ever since they used the fields. And they fill up, and it's like 2 football fields away, that it
Wow.
can fill up. But they have, if you get out of your car, um, there is shuttles that are driving up and down the parking lots, back and forth all day long. You catch it, and they swing around and drop you off at the entrance. Yeah,
That's really good. Yeah, I was wanting to check out the camping around there and see what that entails and everything too, because that's really important. Like you say, for some people that can't afford
no problem.
hotels and whatever, I mean, that'd be a really good uh, way for them to go and afford to go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if I could find a, area where people can go stealth camp, say, hey, we all meet up out in this, field or whatever. Yeah, yeah, but that may happen down the road. I got to find a place big enough for, a whole bunch of people to go hang out, to camp.
Yeah.
Um, 'cause maybe I can find a good farmer that would open up his woods to a bunch of campers, hammockers, and
There you
they can
go.
come up there. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's
Who's
awesome.
to say what'll happen?
Yeah, it's gonna grow. I mean, I see the energy on it already. Everybody, like you say, in your lives is really anxious about it going. So I think it's going to be a really good turnout for you. And like you say, to be able to reach out to other creators and not just in our niche,
Yeah.
but fishing and I'm sure hunting and all different kind of outdoor channels.
All kinds of things. Eating. There's a lot of people. My one friend's probably coming over. He's Matt DV. I think he's going to be coming, and he does travel eating. And if you look at Knoebels, they've got a lot of different food for the park food. To say it's really, I mean, it's really good stuff. But he can make a video of the food. There are people that make videos of just going there to eat. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I believe, YouTube creator and subscriber day,
yeah.
is what my thought is.
That's
And
that's
no matter what your genre is, you can
yeah,
film covered bridges, go all around the state or high points or whatever it is, indoor stuff, outdoor stuff, whatever you make on YouTube,
yeah.
maybe not YouTube. Maybe you're an Instagram creator, but I'm telling anybody that decides they're coming, say you're coming this year. Say you're going to Pavilion C, where Tony's got the pavilion, and my hope is that over the next couple of years we'll have multiple pavilions. I just have
Yeah.
to be very strategic because as soon I got a secret now. I found out the secret on how to get your pavilion year after year. Like as soon as you have your thing, you better book it that day.
Yeah.
For the next year because they haven't opened it up yet because somebody's still in it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tony, I sure appreciate you coming on here tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you guys and Ken's in the same boat with you and hour ahead of us, and I'm not going to keep you late
Oh,
tonight.
true.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming on and answering these questions for us and giving us your time. I know you're busy and everything, but I don't want to overstep my boundaries and keep you any longer than you
Right.
want to
No,
stay.
you know me. I like to talk, but I want to say, Ken. Yes, I see that they're 8.5 hours, maybe next year. Yeah. No, absolutely, and hopefully I get to see you down there. Oh, you're welcome, Ashley. Yeah, no, very, very welcome. I've enjoyed this, and I want to
Yeah.
thank you, David, too, for inviting me.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate it. And they're definitely going to send everybody your way. And of course, everybody here knows who you are. And um, like you say, getting your subscribers to come and meet up. And like you say, it'll just build everybody's community. And that's what it's
Yeah,
all about.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been great.
Yeah. It's been great, Tony. I appreciate you. And I guess if anybody else has any questions, real quick before we head out for Tony, anything specific? If not, I think I'm gonna let you guys go.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Well, thank you guys, Ashley, and thanks to everybody for participating and asking questions and putting up with some of my long answers.
It's
Because
okay. I mean, you did the easy work for me. You answered most of the questions that I had that I was
good
going to
deal.
ask. So
Good deal.
like you said, it flowed and went well. So I appreciate you, Tony.
Absolutely, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, we'll keep you in our prayers for your quick recovery and
Yes,
pray
thank you.
for your blessings for your channel. And,
Absolutely. Same to you, brother.
we look forward to seeing your next video coming out soon.
It'll be Thursday night, every Thursday, 6 o'clock. All
All righty. Well,
right.
have a good night, everybody. You have a good night, Tony.
All right. Good night. 2.0
Night.
out. All right. We'll see you guys.
Yep.